Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of Islam for Europeans. I'm your host, Robert. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to make this reaction video to brother William Barylo. I know I've reacted to one of his videos before, I'm not making this video to malign brother William or to criticize him. I just want to offer my sincere advice, my nasiha, as a convert to Islam of 21 years. I know that he's been Muslim for 15 years. I had a chance to watch his recent video on converts to Islam. And the name of that video is The Social Hierarchy of Muslim Converts. So he said some pretty interesting things in it, and I just want to take some time to address those points. So I think his whole thesis is basically that the fact that there's a social hierarchy of converts based on race, physical ability, income, that this is specifically a UK problem, right? And he said he points to his experience in France being much better than that in the UK. Now, I'm not from the UK. I've never been to the UK. I hope to go one day, inshallah. I do know many converts and speak to many converts who are in the UK as well. So I do think what William says has some merit in that, there's a lot of issues faced by Muslim communities, in the UK vis-a-vis dealing with converts, right? I think my main critique of what he's saying is that, I don't think that you can specifically blame Muslims in the UK for the problems he's describing that converts are going through. I mean, my thesis here at Islam for Europeans has always been that, the traditional model of, what's called the Medina model presupposes that the Muslim community is simply one community, or should aspire to be one community. And, if you have converts who are mostly outsiders, coming from different cultural backgrounds that do not have any Islamic presence whatsoever, the vast majority of their problems are simply beyond the scope of Muslim communities. Whether they're kind to those converts or not, whether they have a positive opinion of the convert's cultural background or not, it doesn't really matter. If you look at the top 5 problems faced by converts, loneliness, steep learning curve, intercultural marriage, and most importantly, managing the relationship with your non-Muslim family and community. Mosques are simply not designed to solve these issues, right? So, if that's the case, the best solution is that and I think he kind of alluded to this in the final part of his video, that the converts themselves, who come from those same cultural spheres, they need to organize and collectivize so they can work on their specific issues, because the rest of the Muslim community simply doesn't interact with their non-Muslim family and community. I mean, just to give you a simple example, like you can go to a mosque, you can try to make friends there. You can try to go to their dinners. You can even try to make friends there. When I converted in 2003, I was like a poster child. I was like, the shining example, of a convert. My family had no problem with my conversion to Islam. I made several friends in the Muslim community. At the same time, my Muslim friends, my entire Muslim community simply did not want to interact, with the town I grew up in, with my family members, with my close friends, and vice versa. The non-Muslim society that I belong to, even though they had no problem with my conversion, they simply, you couldn't drag them to go to a mosque or even a halal restaurant. It's simply not their turf. So what do you do to a convert who has facing so many problems with their non-Muslim friends and family, when you have a Muslim community that is simply too reluctant, too afraid, or just simply doesn't want to interact with them? And to an extent, I simply can't blame them. You have to look at the environs that non-Muslims are living in. There's alcohol, there's pork, there's dogs running around, there's scantily clad women. It's the complete opposite of an Islamic environment, right? And for most converts to Islam, they have to live in this environment. It's you can bring them to the mosque as much as you want, but at maximum, people are only going to spend 1 to 5 hours in a mosque if they're a convert, and the rest of their time, in their non-Muslim sphere. So, um, and this, I think, his video. If you watch his video, I'm going to provide the link to it. It basically, encompasses basically the whole Medina model and why it's flawed. And you can just start to pick apart why Muslim communities in general simply are going to solve converts' issues, and that it's not their fault. They haven't done anything wrong, but converts themselves need to take it upon themselves. So, he starts out by mentioning, various ethnicities who convert to Islam and then try to find their home in the UK Muslim community, and how there's like a hierarchy. Uh, he'll say, he says that Black converts, specifically Black female converts, they're never seen, on like these Islamic or Muslimic YouTube channels. Maybe they have their own channels, but the big name UK Dawa scene will never have these people. So, I mean, you could say that there's kind of like a bias there. Maybe it might be just because these Islamic YouTube channels, they have their own set of friends. They have their own inner circles, and they kind of deal within those inner circles. Like there are Black Muslims within these inner circles as well. Many of them have met with celebrities like Sneeko. But and again, you're saying Black women. Most of these Islamic YouTube channels are almost exclusively male. Very rarely will they have any female, Islamic influencers on their thing on their channel. So you could say that it's unfair, but I mean, I don't think we can really blame these Islamic channels for kind of sticking to their own groups. I think the only error comes in when they say, when we try to do the same thing, that this is dividing the Muslim community, right? So I think that's where you could say that they're doing something wrong. Um, and he goes on to talk about working class white British converts, South Asian converts, and in particular he talks about how South Asian converts, everyone just assumes basically that that everything is fine with it because they don't look like converts. They come from a South Asian background. The majority of Muslims in the UK are Pakistani or Indian or Bangladeshi. So it's human nature that you would look at someone who's from a Sikh or a Hindu background who converted to Islam and go, oh, this brother, he probably has like a Muslim family and things like that. And he said that many of them are just sitting by themselves alone in the masjid. So, is a Muslim community wrong? Or can you lay blame at them for not helping these brothers and sisters who are facing a tremendous amount of turmoil from their family? Maybe to a slight degree, yes. But I don't think that even if you were to give, these mosques all the resources in the world, that they would be able to, resolve the problems with their Hindu or Sikh family. I mean, what are they going to do? Invite them to the mosque? Well, these people don't like Islam. They don't like Muslims. Or let's say you invite them to a halal restaurant or a halal Indian restaurant. They're still not going to want to go. And if these South Asian converts are hiding their Islam from their families, if you were to have the Muslim community stage some sort of event, it might backfire. The cat may be out of the bag that this person converted to Islam, and then next thing you know, they're kicked out of their house. And even if their family knows about the fact that their son or daughter converted to Islam, and you were to put them in a room together with other Muslims, it might turn into an argument, right? So I don't think that these are problems that are suited for the current structure of Muslims of Muslim communities, mosques, Islamic organizations. So when it comes to solving, mitigating the problem, the relationship with your non-Muslim friends and family, it's best. What I would recommend is that South Asian converts to Islam, Hindu converts to Islam, Sikh converts to Islam, they should organize their own subgroups as well. They should have their own organizations, because at the very least, you'll be able to interact with people who are going through the same problems that you are. That brings me to my next point. Um, you know, you can still feel incredibly lonely while still being at these dinners. Like people think about the loneliness of converts um, as being caused by sitting alone in a corner and not knowing anybody and no one coming up to you and saying how you're doing. I mean, even if a Muslim community is very friendly and very warm and welcoming, and they invite you to their dinners, at times it could just be very hard to relate to what they're going through. And you can still feel loneliness even though you're in that same crowd. I mean, the problems faced by born Muslims, um, many times, even though we can understand that these are very difficult, they have their own difficult issues, and in many cases, born Muslims are going through more turmoil than converts. Um, but you could say that it's qualitatively different. It's just something that you just simply can't relate to. Being a minority Muslim, having a Muslim family, um, worrying about your family back home. Like this feeling that you're in French they call it dépaysement, the feeling that you don't belong in this country, right? So there's a different set of problems, compared to what converts are going through, right? So and he talks about the white British converts to Islam, and white British converts to Islam, they do get some opportunities, but they often get rejected for the main two things that he talked about was getting jobs and marriage, right? So when it comes to jobs, I mean, let's be honest, we've had a massive influx of people converting to Islam in the last 8 months, um, and people are taking their shahada every day. Muslim communities simply don't have the resources or the jobs available to offer jobs, to these converts. And given how high rent is all throughout the West, Canada, the UK, like what kind of there's no way that you can provide dozens and hundreds of jobs for converts who lost their jobs. Um, in order to suit their needs to an extent that they're able to take care of themselves and have a roof over their head. Like and these type of job networking things, many even when it comes to like born Muslim communities, like they'll have programs based on like job applications and things like that, but it's suited to what their skill sets are. It's not suited to what kind of skill sets converts have. And again, you're coming in as a complete outsider as well. So to come in and take your shahada and convert to Islam, um, and jump into an existing Muslim community where you don't know anybody, and then right off the bat, like they hire you, full time. That's difficult enough to do on an individual basis, but then you multiply that by 10, 20, 50. It would just become impossible for mosques to be able to do this. And for quite frankly, Muslim communities, they're very busy to begin with. The imam is incredibly busy. The masjid board is incredibly busy. Everyone's got full-time jobs. Everyone's got families to take care of. And converts are busy as well too. So when born Muslim communities don't even understand, the problems that converts are going through, you cannot expect them to take this on, to develop programs that will, provide solutions to these problems. You need someone with the zeal and the energy and the know-how and the wherewithal who's been through these experiences. You need a group of those people who have the passion to do that. They will go the extra mile. They will spend hours after work, working on, convert package, or updating the email list of converts, or doing a roll call of converts to see if they're okay. Like that's a huge undertaking for mosques to take on. I don't think that they're ready to do these sorts of things, right? And he also mentioned, I think one of the main, um, you know, like things or points that he uses to say that, you know, certain converts are in different hierarchies is when it comes to marriage. And, you know, I think, you know, especially in the UK, I could totally see why a lot of UK families don't want to marry their son or especially their daughter to a white British convert. I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot of animosity between those two groups. Um, and you know, a lot of these converts, they just converted recently. We don't know what their history is like. We don't know what their sexual history is like. Uh, are they a recovering drug addict? Are they a recovering alcoholic? There's a lot of cultural differences that they believe that they're not ready for, and you know, like on top of that, you know, you're going to have to deal with the fact that your in-laws are now totally non-Muslim. Not just that, but white British non-Muslims. They could absolutely, they could totally hate Islam, you know. And you know, there's a lot of fears around that. What if, you know, my grandkids are being fed pork by their non-Muslim in-laws? What if they're being fed alcohol? And you know, they point to, quite rightly so, the high attrition rate of converts. You know, based on um, you know, what many imams have been saying, the dropout rate of converts to Islam is anywhere, especially white converts, is anywhere from 70 to 80%. And that's a legitimate fear. Those are abysmal numbers. And you know, in South Asian society and Arab society, a woman who gets divorced, um, you know, like it's an enormous taboo. It's very difficult for her to get remarried. It's a shame on the family. And you know what? A lot of families simply are not ready for that. You know, and it may just be that, you know, they want to marry someone from their own cultural background, and even, you know, they don't want to marry another South Asian from another country. So I don't think it has anything to do with race. I don't think it has anything to do with, you know, that converts are on a local lower, you know, stratification. You know, they're just something that they're just simply not ready for it. You know, and you know, if I think, you know, for several years, I would get very angry at this particular point, you know, like that this is racist, that, you know, Muslim families should be opening their doors to get married to converts, you know, but it all goes back to like the flawed Medina model, which presupposes that, you know, that Muslims need to be one community. So what we're suggesting is that, you know, like Brother William alluded to at the end of his video, converts need to form their own subcommunities. They need to, you know, collectivize. You know, they need to form tightly knit groups. They need to be able to interact in their non-Muslim sphere. They need to be able to provide sound advice when dealing with their non-Muslim family members, and they need to be educated. You know, they need to be educated in Islam so they can teach, you know, the new batch of converts that are coming in. You know, and I think, you know, that's the best way to do it. I mean, I don't blame what the Muslim, you know, what the Muslim community has done. They have enough on their plate already. You know, like they're just trying to survive, and they don't have the time, they don't have the money, they don't have the resources, they don't have the wherewithal to take on a lot of these endeavors. Right. So, and you know, finally, Brother William, you did mention, like, you know, some archetypes of, you know, like kind of like successful converts, like the insta-convert. You know, I use that term for, I guess, like people who convert to Islam and they already have an existing YouTube channel, and you know, like now they get like an increase in subscribership, and they kind of make like this their MO, and you know, they kind of monetize it, and you know, like become like an Islamic channel. I mean, like, look, I mean, what I think what you're trying to do is what they're trying to do is that you're trying to supplant the loss of a community. You know, like you had a non-Muslim life, all of your friends were non-Muslim. You know, like your whole social circles were built around being in un-Islamic environments. You had your family and everything. You convert to Islam, and now suddenly your world is completely turned upside down, right? And converts are craving community. You know, they want to feel like they're part of a community. Um, you know, and not every convert is going to be suited to, you know, become, you know, or continue to have, you know, a facing role online. And you know, if that works for them, if that gives them the sense of community and like the feeling that they're not alone, I think that's a good thing. I, you know, like look, this is what they were doing previously beforehand. Maybe they had a YouTube channel, they converted, while they're studying Islam. We don't want to doubt their sincerity. Like a lot of people are converting, and if these people convert to Islam, you know, I can understand why that they should not be teaching Islam, because they're not, they don't have the education. Like they should take at least a year of Islamic studies, before, that way they have some sort of foundation, to be able to give dawah properly. But I can see why Muslim communities will donate a lot of money to these converts, because they have such an enormous influence. I think they're thinking, this person has X subscribers, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. Let's pamper this person and give them, the economic opportunity, and, give them the Hajj trips, and give them the, the resources, because they have a huge influence and they want to do it. So, I can understand why they want to do this thing, but I do feel that, these people, I know it's inevitable that they're going to crash. And that's, it's an unfortunate reality. And, like a lot of these converts, they end up crashing because we set such a high expectation on them, because, they think that that these converts are going to be leaders for the Muslim community. But still, they still have a lot of existing social problems, like emotional issues that they have to deal with, like a loss of family members, loss of friends. And, it's not an easy challenge. It's not an easy challenge whatsoever. So I get what Brother William is saying, that, like it's not healthy, to have these kind of like celebrity converts, or these insta converts, as he calls them. I just think that, we're only looking at the converts who are visible, that as like kind of like, the experience of the convert. I mean, most of the people are going to take their shahada, and you're never going to see them again at the mosque. It's just not really, an atmosphere, that can supplant, all the emotional turmoil that they're going through. So, in conclusion, I would be willing to speak with Brother William if he's watching this. I have watched his stuff before, and I do think that he makes some very good points. I just think it would be useful because, he says he's a sociologist. I'm a social psychologist. I have a master's degree in social psych. I think it would be good to sit down and have an actual conversation with him, because, I think that if we take a step back and both look at the problem, I think, we'll clearly see that, what we've been saying all along is true, and that is that group conversion, to Islam, is a far better model and more sustainable model, than trying to assimilate converts into an existing Muslim community. Okay, so that's my time for the day. I'm Robert from Islam for Europeans. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and may Allah keep our brothers and sisters safe, who are being absolutely slaughtered in the Holy Land. Let's keep them in our du'as. Oh Allah, please grant those who have died Jannah, and oh Allah, please put an end to this horrible bloodshed. Okay, that's it for today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.